What is up, guys, and welcome back to Fireside Farms. Look who's out again. I even clipped her wings yesterday. Again. So today I have a garden tour planned for y'all. It does not look pretty. Most everything is still alive, but the cold has been really beating it to a pulp. So there are a few awesome surprises which I caught yesterday afternoon. I'll have to show you guys today. But give the garden a break. It looks a little sad, but it's still alive. For those of you that have not seen one of my garden tours before, what we're gonna do is start on this end, which is the south end, and work our way north. And then we're gonna work east to west across all of the beds, and then we will do an in-ground garden bed, which I have on the other side. So let's get started. So in this first bed are all my Brussels sprouts, and they look so sad. This weird deformed one is actually the one with the biggest sprouts, but they're all wrapped up in these leaves that it's got coming out of every orifice here. The rest are still developing, albeit slowly. So this size is about the same size that the rest of them are on all the other plants. And they're coming along. I have one red leaf lettuce here and some peas that have slowly died over the course of the last month. In fact, I only have one row of peas that are still, that's not true. Okay, well, one row of shelling peas that are still alive. The rest all died, and I'm not sure why. So there is some purpling on the inside leaves and on the actual Brussels sprouts of a couple of the Brussels sprout plants in this bed. That can be a nutrient deficiency, but it can also be caused by an inability to uptake nutrients during periods of extreme cold. And of course, I wouldn't call, the low 20s or high teens that we've been in extremely cold. But considering the foliar damage to the plants from the cold, and I have been fertilizing them, I don't think it's a nutrient lacking in the soil issue. I think it's just the weather conditions that are just making these guys suffer all around. I have one small yarrow plant here that's trucking along, doing okay, and then two chard plants that never really took off, but I did leave them in their seedling containers for a wee bit too long. So that's probably why. Leeks, these are doing okay. Growing slowly, but still growing. This is probably my biggest one. Maybe a couple one of those over there. This calendula got bit up quite severely by the frost as well. All of these plants are still alive. They're just damaged on the tops. I mean, I could take this off. It wouldn't hurt the plant. If you didn't like the look of this, you could trim that off to make it aesthetically pleasing. I'm gonna leave this damaged foliage on top because at this point, even dead foliage is gonna provide frost cover for the live plant underneath it. So anything damaged, I'm kind of just leaving here or covering other parts of the plant that haven't been damaged yet with those damaged parts. Moving north into the cauliflower bed. These have really, let me just look at the damage. They're all just cut right across the top from the wilting. I have a couple leek plants here. Lettuce that's still doing pretty well despite the cold, but I did basically bury the whole thing with straw to protect it. Pea plants, which have since gone to heaven. This red Russian kale, or ragged jack kale, is still alive, still doing well. It's just been damaged by the cold, such as everything else. This calendula has probably fared almost the worst of all of them. But this is what I wanted to show you. Look at this little guy. And back up. So That one's pretty small. This one's probably the largest, I would say. It's about that big. I have little hands though. That one's pretty big. So a couple of these are getting big despite the weather, and all of these wilted leaves. I'm just draping them over the actual cauliflower head because that's what's gonna keep it frost free and good until harvest. I'm so excited. My sad lettuce bed has mostly gone to seed, or yeah. So this guy is still good and edible. He has not only gone to seed but died. So I will not be able to get any seed from this guy because the seed, the head froze as it was sprouting, unfortunately. The same happened with this one. So both of these I will not be able to recover seed from. I will, I believe, still be able to get seed from this. It has been doing just fine through the cold. Even its leaves look pretty good. I am a little disappointed I didn't get to eat this before it bolted. At this point, I'm just leaving dead plants in the soil. I have no reason to pull them out. And they'll help provide maybe wind or frost coverage to other plants that I put in there. So, I mean, mostly they're gonna stay in because I have no reason to put them out. I also just realized we went out of order. Let me go back to the beginning. All right, starting back at the south end. We have this bed which has been mostly taken over by calendula, which after it started getting into the 20s at night, stopped flowering. Now he's just taking up space, but I don't have anything else in here that I need, so I'm not gonna rip him out. This eucalyptus is still going and growing. I'm not sure what variety it is. I got a start from the local nursery, so it might be a hardier variety. Who knows? These were some like sugar daddy snap peas, some sort of snap pea or snow pea. They did not survive the temperatures. This green onion did though, and he looks yummy. He's grown a lot actually. I had actually planted that green onion in the garden last winter, and it died back completely beneath the soil during the summertime and then started growing again in the fall, so I left him. He's growing a lot. I'm pretty happy about it. The arrow's still alive, not flowering anymore with the temperatures, but still going strong. I have some lettuce here we've been picking off regularly. And chives. These chives are doing much better than those chives. And I think it's because they're more protected in this space with all this coverage from the weather. You guys, look at this rutabaga. This thing is huge. I'm just letting him go, keep going. I don't want him to get, too massive because they'll start to get a little fibrous and gross, but I do want to see how much bigger I can get him. I have a couple carrots here. They aren't really worth mentioning. Maybe that guy is, but I've just had the worst luck growing carrots. And I'm not gonna give up because I have so many carrot seeds that it would be silly to give up. I could just plant them forever. But I have resigned myself to the fact that I will probably never be able to grow carrots. This little 1x4 bed is doing okay. I have leeks and snow peas or snap peas, I forget. It's in one of my previous videos. They're not producing any peas because of the weather. In fact, they're even, ooh, crunchy. They're even getting damaged, but I'm gonna see how long they keep going because I was able to maintain pea plants all through the winter last year, and then they started producing again in the spring, and I'm hoping I might just completely mulch these guys and then just try and overwinter them. Because they're already getting damaged, and it's not even the coldest part of our winter. That usually comes in January. In this other 1x4, I have the same leeks and peas. They are also doing just okay. These peas are getting damaged. The leeks are fine. They're just not growing very quickly anymore. And back to the lettuce bed that we'll pretend we skipped. My yarrow is suffering a bit. I think it could do with some fertilizer for sure. But it's also all alone over here, and it's getting a little damaged from the cold. He'll be fine, and quite honestly, I have enough yarrow. So I have quite a bit of lettuce starts here that they're fine. They're not super damaged and they're alive, but they're not going to be growing very quickly for the next couple months. So honestly, I will probably give them another month to see if they get to full head size or even large enough where I can have a full meal out of them. And then after that, if they just don't keep growing because it gets too cold, I'll probably harvest them for baby greens, because I have taken lettuce all the way through the winter before and it just gets like tough on the outside, like it's been hardened through the winter. So I'm not super interested in carrying these until spring. It's too delicate of a vegetable to just be. I'll just plant more. I mean, lettuce is super quick and easy to grow. It's like 50 days. All right, let's head to the garlic. I have so many garlic, guys. They're coming up everywhere. So not all of the garlic has sprouted yet. Quite a bit, but not all of it. I do see some small ones coming up every now and then. I'm pretty confident in the germination rate. I think it's gonna be pretty good. And I am just super excited. I've never grown hardneck varieties before or eaten garlic scapes, and I'm just super stoked to have a hardneck variety come up. And I've also never tried a Creole variety of garlic, which is just super cool. This bed has seen better days. Ignore this. This was some calendula I pruned earlier, and I just threw it here as a mulch. They are just very, very sad. Not too worried about it. I have those over there. I would prefer if these didn't die, but I have those over there. This mint is on its way out. It will come back in the spring. So I'm glad I pulled some while it was still green, because this doesn't look too good to harvest anymore. Maybe I'll eat some. And the second to last bed, guys, which is the broccoli. I haven't had too much progress on broccoli heads. I got a little one. But he is starting. Is that the light? No, that's not the light. So he is starting to purple. That concerns me a little bit. I might have to harvest these small if they're gonna get frost damaged. Maybe just do that. Maybe I just tie them like that. Has anyone ever tied broccoli heads for frost protection? Is that necessary? So these are my shelling peas that are still alive. Out of 1, 2, 3, I had one right here. 3 beds that had them. These are the only guys that are still alive. I'm not quite sure why, because I'm not quite sure what killed the other guys. I am thankful that these are alive though, even though they're not producing anything, and he's poquito sad. This giant hairball is a yarrow plant with some parsley in here. There's also parsley over there. It's all covered up. I'm leaving it as such because the frost has been damaging what's hanging out here, and I do want to keep some fresh parsley as long as possible. This is a little cabbage. He's just a little guy. This is also a cabbage. Both of these are early Jersey Wakefield cabbage. They're quite small. Let's see. Yeah, just a little guy, but he's not purpling. Nice tight heads. That's what you want to see, is nice tight heads, because these will actually open and blossom, because technically when you eat broccoli, what you're eating is the flower of the plant, or the buds, the unopened flower buds of the plant. So you don't want those tight little heads of the broccoli to start unfurling, because then once that means it's begun to flower, and the flavor will change. Freya. What are you doing, you majestic girl? Silly girl. So here I have various plants. Rutabaga, all right in here. Cabbage, bok choy, lostinato kale. This rutabaga is getting beat up with the weather, but I did mulch it pretty heavily down here, so the actual roots themselves are covered. So, yay, they're coming along. All of the cabbages that I planted in my garden are early Jersey Wakefield. I didn't plant any other varieties. This, I mean, frankly, if we're being honest, this is my worst looking bed. I mean, it's pretty and rainbow colored, but that means it's not doing well. I've kind of given up. I haven't given up as in I'm not taking care of it. I'm still watering these guys, but I am so certain that there's something wrong that I'm not figuring out, and I'm not going to be able to bring these guys back because they're just not getting better. The leaves keep turning purple, keep wilting, keep dying, and now they're not growing hardly any new foliage because it's so cold that I just don't know if I'm going to get anything out of them, which makes me sad. This last garden bed I put in at the end of the summer season to have enough room to plant all my fall plants. And I didn't really do a good job of filling it. In fact, there's actually probably not a whole lot of soil in here, and there's probably a whole lot of sticks right underneath this top layer of soil. So I don't doubt the plants in here are struggling, and it's probably all my fault. But that's okay. I'm trying to make enough compost so that I can just fill all these beds next season in the spring. Alright, so y'all are oriented. We have finished all of the raised garden beds and have moved on to the in-ground garden beds on the north side of the property. So in this first row we have the row of unknown brassicas. These are looking a lot to me like broccoli, maybe? I don't know, could be broccoli. Could be cauliflower. But they're all tooting along. They are much smaller than their compatriots over there. But they're still alive, and I'm hoping that I'll carry them through the winter and see what happens in the spring. This catnip's starting to get a little damage from the frost, but it is pretty low to the ground, so it's got quite a bit of protection down here. These two are early Jersey Wakefield cabbages. This one is looking good. It is not my largest one, but close. Okay, so I just saw this, and it's not going to turn out to be very big because it is producing pretty small. But look how cute he is. It's the tiniest little broccoli head on the tiniest little broccoli. Look at this. My goodness. So it is kind of unfortunate that this plant decided to put all its energy into flowering right now because it is very small, but it probably was very stressed when I planted it. I planted most of the plants in the in-ground garden late, and they had no shade cover. So they not only got beat up by the hot sun, but they just didn't have enough time to get established before the cold nights came. But that's okay. I did better this year. I planted a lot of the plants way earlier than I did last year. So incrementally, I am learning. This looks to me like a cauliflower. So I won't dig into there. Pretty sure that's cauliflower. That, probably broccoli. Here's some various lettuces. I don't know the names. This is the biggest cabbage boy I've got. This is, again, an early Jersey Wakefield, and I'm not gonna harvest him yet, but I'm very excited. Cabbage, maybe? Broccoli for sure. Cauliflower? Cabbage, maybe? These are some random lettuces. That is a rutabaga. And these are just very tiny cabbages that are probably not going to produce anything, honestly. And I didn't thin them out. Look at that. Wow. How irresponsible of me. These rutabagas are also pretty beaten up. Ooh, goodness. This guy's seen better days. But I have buried all of these roots again to protect them. If the foliage dies back, that is fine. I can let the roots sit in here as for quite a while until I need to pull it to eat it. I never did plant anything in here, guys. Honestly, it's just too cold. I'm not real sure if I do put anything in here, it'll work. So for now, I'm just keeping it moist so the soil microbes don't die, and maybe I'll use it for onions in January. This looks like a cabbage. 2 cabbages, again, that I did not thin. I could come in here and cut this one, but honestly, neither of these are going to produce, I'm pretty sure. So I'll just leave them. They're adding beneficial nutrients to the soil, so. Well, guys, that is it. I think the garden is doing pretty well this year comparatively to how it did last year. And this week warmed up a bit, so it's still getting in the 20s at night, but today I was wearing a short sleeve shirt. It was like in the 60s. So that helps the plants a lot. At least they can recover during the day. So I'm hoping I will still get Brussels sprouts. I know I'm gonna get cauliflower even if they don't head up anymore. I'm super excited for what I have already. And then I know I'll get a little bit of broccoli. I'm getting a hella ton of greens. And I'll have leeks and garlic and onion. And the hydroponics thing is getting started. Oh, I have to show you guys the seedlings. If you guys head over to my Instagram, I do update a lot on Instagram what I may forget in a YouTube video. A lot of times I don't include stuff in my YouTube video because it just slips my mind while I'm out here doing this. So, but if you guys head over to my Instagram, I do keep updated, but I will try and remember at the end of this video to show you guys the hydroponic seedlings we started the other day. But the winter garden for me has not yet become what the summer garden is. And that's not a bad thing. I do hope to eventually get there, just because there are a lot of winter plants I can't grow throughout the summer. So I do have to relegate them to a fall garden. But what I mean by the winter garden not being like the summer garden is that for the summer garden, you have so much abundance. Like, you can plant one tomato plant and have tomatoes for the whole summer from that one plant. But I plant one broccoli plant that takes up 3 feet by 3 feet and I get 1 head of broccoli. So it is quite a bit harder to get volume from a winter garden just due to the nature of cold weather plants. A lot of them are just kind of, you know, one harvest, one plant kind of thing, not bountiful buckets of tomatoes and peppers from one plant. Having the winter garden on the scale of like a summer garden just requires a lot of space and a lot more planning and experience on my part, because I still haven't gotten the temperature, the timing of the seasons right. You know, how long do I need to be leaving my shade cloth on in the summer? And should I be aiming to prioritize like heat tolerant brassicas, or should I be prioritizing cold tolerance because my nights get so cold so quickly? You know, that's still something that I have to experiment with, and that will take time, and that's okay. I don't expect it to happen all at once, nor frankly do I want to, because that's a lot of work. But it is nice during the winter season to have a break from all of the harvesting and the pruning and the watering, which I don't have to do every day anymore, and the preservation. So just, you do have to be grateful for that break that you get, because you'll be begging for it back next July. But I'm rambling, so let me go inside and make dinner. Thank you all for joining me today. It is a gorgeous day outside. I wish you could feel it. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye.